So today I want to do a trade review with you guys of what were the trades we took today, what exactly were we looking at, and why did I take the trades I was taking. I'm going to be doing a breakdown of my entries and an explanation of what I was seeing utilizing volume footprints. I'm not going to be able to show order book level 2 and time and sales in this video just because it will be too much. This is also something I use that's like the bread and butter of how I trade. Volume footprint is a great way to read volume as well. I do prefer order book level 2 and time and sales though, but you can use all three. So I'm going to go over those trades, why we took them and how we took them, and also this AMD trade that was a beautiful win off the open as well. So going into the market open, all right, my game plan showing up today, which I put on the watch list for the students, was a breakout to the upside of 25,612. And I liked this game plan even with the rejection in the pre-market. I still loved this game plan. All the levels I find on my chart, majority of them are found on 4-hour time frame and the 1 hour and the 5 minutes. Those are really the three time frames I focus on the most. Some are from the daily, but I really harp on 4-hour levels more than anything. And I do try to delineate them by writing out 4-hour level on here. But we can see we have NQ here on the left. All right, right up here, NQ here on the left. In the middle, we have QQQ. I like QQQ more for the volume. It has more volume than NQ, and then AMD on the right. This breakout off the open, essentially, what I want to go over. So we did have a pre-market trade. Now, on my live in the pre-market, the main reason I was signaling this in the first place, I said, hey, this is the level I was trying to go long at the market open. I do like it here if you want to give it a shot, right? Because obviously trading futures, you can trade the pre-market. You don't have to wait to the New York session open. So we did have some people able to get in there, but that was just based on the hold of a key level down here, the hold of this 535 area, which is a 4-hour level, right? The hold of this, and followed by the rejection of 612, showing me, or 615 roughly, showing me that that is a key level. There is an order block sitting there. And if we don't get enough of a pullback, if there's not much follow through, which as you can see right here, there's not much selling pressure coming in, you can see an immediate recovery. There's a higher likelihood that now with some sufficient volume, you picture you have that order block, there's a higher likelihood you can finally break through that order block. And that's what we're looking for in a trade like that. There is still obviously volume in the pre-market. It's just a little bit on the lower side. But that was the basis for that. And that obviously returned roughly 60 points in profit. Now, what was the basis on my market open trade? What was I looking for? Well, on a 1 minute time frame here, I'm going to bring this down to the 1 minute so you can see exactly how this played out. On a 1 minute time frame, what I was telling the students as we started to open up above this level, I was telling everybody, look, what I'm looking for is a retracement back into 615. I want to see us retest 615 again, and I'm looking to just go long. That's my whole basis. I don't care if it's market open. All I need to see is the proper volume. So as it's pushing back down, I just want to see a retest of 615. If it can retest that, and I can see heavy orders come in on order book level 2 at the ask, or just see buy orders on volume footprint, like buyers step in, then I'll look to take that entry long based on the hold of that level. And the other thing I was prepping my students for was I said 671, that is the next 4-hour level to the upside. We have to be cautious of this 4-hour level. We cannot ignore a 4-hour level above us. That's resistance. It's just best to be cautious. Even let's say if you were trying to go long there, that's just something where you're better off sitting out and looking at a break and retest for a later setup. So, but the entry for my trade was based on that. I never got to see the retest of 615. So I'm not trying to take an early entry for shorts because I don't know yet. And there wasn't a lot of orders stepping in at the ask down here. There wasn't that many buy orders stepping in. You can also see this on volume footprint. There's not too much. It's kind of equal with the selling pressure. So it's not giving me that clear of a picture. I would honestly just be guessing if I had entered. I'd be hoping, which is not how we want to trade. So when I wait for 645 to occur, this 44 to 47 range right here, which is where I called out the entry live in the chat, and this is where I took the entry myself. This was based on some order flow coming in on order book level 2. There wasn't a ton, but there was some. But I used that in conjunction, all right, in conjunction with NVIDIA was also pushing. It was breaking above its pre-market high, which was another one of our setups. It was breaking above pre-market high, and I use that as a confluence because it's such a big market cap company, and with the orders coming in on level 2. So as I'm seeing that play out, I'm telling myself, this is where I got to take the entry. Right when I called this out, I'm talking the second I entered this trade, the second I called this thing out, everything I saw on the order book level 2 all got executed. Everything got executed. This trade actually ripped, which you can see on my Instagram. I posted it on Instagram, the recording. This ripped 25% in profit, 20 points on NQ immediately. Immediately. This went from 45 all the way up to 65 in about 2 seconds. And then we kind of floated. We pushed for a little bit more, about 7 more points. And I did trim up here at around 71. Obviously, it's that 4-hour level. I want to be cautious. I need to be careful. And then how I trade is after I use that first trim, if I'm looking for more out of my trade, let's say I sold 75% of my position, 3/4 of it, I will place my stop loss at entry at that point. So that's why you don't see a red box here. I move my stop loss up to my entry to cover my risk. Now it's essentially a risk-free trade. There's no way I can go red. If the trade continues, because I'm trading based on volume, that means it should be continuing roughly right afterwards. If not, it's more than likely going to come back into the range. If it comes back into the range, I would rather get stopped at entry and be given a clear and open mind going, all right, I'm green on the day. Let me see how I can re-attack this again with an A+ setup or just stay out of it all. This trade is based on the failure of that 4-hour level. So our first attempt on this trade ended up resulting in an immediate stop loss. We entered short, immediately decided to do this massive rebound, as you can see, into my order block that I have drawn out right here. It stopped us out. It is what it is. Sometimes we have stop losses. We just have to accept it. You got to take it on the chin, right? Move on right away. You cannot afford to sit there and dilly-dally or be in your feelings about taking a loss or, be throwing your desktop everywhere. It's just not going to work in the long run. You have to take a loss just like you would in a business. You take it, you move on. You don't dwell on it. You have to there's a reason why the windshield in a car is massive and the rearview mirror is really tiny. There's a reason. Leave that behind you. Learn from it, move on. So now, as this starts approaching in the setup here, we've already been stopped out. One thing I'm telling myself as this starts to come back down, and I'm saying it out loud to my students as well, but I'm just saying, guys, I still love shorts. I re-signal the entry again, and I tell them as long as we're staying, the main thing I liked was the rejection of this order block. This green box I drew up here is the order block we've been using for quite a while as we've been kind of stuck in this range on NQQQQ. And as we're seeing this sell through even further, what I'm liking is the fact that we're still holding below 612, 615. So 615 is what I was using for the basis, along with the order block to say I'm still biased to the downside. That's what I kept putting on repeat. Biased to the downside. I'm looking for downside. I still want to see basically for us to get to that next 4-hour level. I keep that on repeat mainly because I know there's many people that see this price action. They get scared. They get worried. They take profits early. They exit right away. They're just not a fan of it. So I'm talking through this as much as I can because I want people to, have the confidence to just really hold this setup as it moves on its way down. Because you can see it keeps having these pretty harsh pullbacks. All right. Remember, this is a 1-minute time frame showing right here on NQ. But as you can see, big sell-off, big bounce, big sell-off, big bounce, big sell-off, big bounce, right? It keeps bouncing aggressively. Now, whenever it was coming down and bouncing this area pretty harshly, it's strange. It looks a little different on my Instagram video. It goes down to 40, but here it's not showing that. But what we were seeing down here was basically the hold of this 35 level. I'm seeing the hold of this 35 level, and it's telling me that it's wanting to bounce this aggressively. So I am still telling everybody, guys, if we stay below this order block, I still think it's going to continue to sell. Now, obviously, at this point, we are stopped out at entry. I'm not trying to hold on to this trade any longer. There's just clearly no point. The market is clearly trying to bounce this range, but still, regardless, it's still a beautiful trade in terms of the execution, in terms of the market read. And what takes, what's hard for a trader to do is take a winning trade, cool your green on the day, take a losing trade, and still willing to trade again. It's difficult. It's difficult because it's very easy to take a win, take a loss. You risk some profits, obviously, and you're still green on the day, but probably just a tiny bit green. It's hard to take that third trade, to take that next setup, because odds are you might be risking going in the red, or you're going to be very tiny green for the day. So taking another setup like this is difficult, but that conviction was there based on the read of that volume and the failure of these levels. So a lot of this goes into play is key levels, being able to execute properly off those levels, and just having conviction in your setup, which that's what I do on a daily basis. I try to talk people through what I'm seeing. So if they're trying to take the same trade I'm taking, they're not just getting scared and going, well, this is negative 10 points or negative 10%. I'm going to cut it. It's like, well, why are we cutting it? Why are you exiting the trade early? Why are you stopping out? Let's look at what structurally is actually happening in the market and what's the picture that it's painting to tell us where the price wants to go. So rest of the day keeps playing out. Once we see another rejection of this level, this was just another trade I signaled for some downside. It was right here, actually. This is where it was. It just changed because the time frame changed. but signaled it here once it rejected. Again, exact same confirmation as before. And that is what I said to everybody. I said, this is the same trade setup as before. And I warned everyone ahead of time. I think this is going to be shorter lived. So down here, I called basically a perfect exit. I said I would be majority out of the trade or fully out right down at this level. And then same thing on this trade. On this trade, once it touched 69, said the same thing. I would be majority or fully out of the trade at this point. So both of these could have been considered basically perfect trades. Signaled the short entry here if anyone wanted to take it. Again, same concept, failure of the order block combined with a break below 612 with some good selling pressure, some good orders coming in on the volume at the bid. And then as price started to come back up above for this larger trade, all right, you can see it on the 1 minute, but I want to go ahead. I'll just leave it here, but basically telling everybody stopping out around 612 on this setup. You would stop out around 612 on this setup, and what you're looking for would really be a high of day. High of day. That's really the target I would have had in mind for this trade. Anywhere after that, I would have had a very small position size, leaving a runner behind there. But this was based on the numerous bounces we had down here around the 4-hour zone, numerous bounces followed by a reclaim of 615 and the reclaim of this order block. So once this order block was reclaimed, what I liked about it was the reclaim followed by the retest of the level. So the main thing I said I really wanted to see was after it sold through, I said it would have been sketchy to enter up here. And what I wanted to see was a reclaim. So I wanted to see it come down, retest this zone, and then push back up. So right here is when I was mentioning that that's when it looked golden. That's when it looked good. And this should see a nice move to the upside where you can just have your stops around 612. And as you can see, it did. It was beautiful. So it did my sweep, which is what I thought it would, a nice liquidity sweep down here, pushed to the upside, came back down, ended up holding this zone perfectly, as you can see on a 1 minute. And then now after that occurs, you get that nice 70-point move to the upside. You can see you obviously reclaimed high of day, would have been a nice trade. In terms of holding all the way up here, probably wishful thinking, because as you can see, that came dangerously close back to the entry after you've hit high of day, right? So you hit high of day right here. And then you can see after that, it did come relatively close. Just being realistic, more than likely, you probably would have been stopped out there. So, but if you held to the peak, you can see it hit my 702 level perfectly. And then sure enough, rejected and dumped, right? So, but that was the trade action for the day. That's what I was seeing basically as I'm watching all this stuff play out. You guys let me know in the comments below because I don't want this video to be too long. Let me know if you want me to make an entire separate video on how you can use something like volume footprint for identifying entries, right? How you can identify point of controls, where you can see your levels in conjunction with volume based on maybe a volume session profile or a volume footprint to utilize this in your favor, okay? Because you don't have to pay for a service like Bookmap. You just don't. A lot of people use that because it looks pretty, but then they don't really actually know what they're doing. So it's amazing the content you can get for free, and then B, the programs they have available to you for a fraction of the cost. You don't really need to be paying $30-$40 a month for some of these programs. All right. So hopefully this provided some good value to you guys. I will keep doing these as much as I can going forward. I'm just here to help everyone out as much as I can. All right. Feel free to check the description if there's any links that you might need. If you're trying to join the community or if you need any help, put them in the comments, please. So y'all have a good one.